The rain hammered the tin roof of the dive bar like incoming artillery, drowning out the jukebox's half-hearted croon of some forgotten Springsteen track. Roger slammed his whiskey glass down so hard the amber liquid sloshed over the rim, staining the scarred wooden bar like blood from a fresh wound. "Fuck this," he growled, his voice a low rumble that cut through the storm's fury. Eyes locked on the crumpled discharge papers clutched in his fist, papers that branded him a liability, a ghost in the machine of don't ask, don't tell's dying echo, even as the world pretended to move on. I was 3 stools down, nursing a beer that had gone warm, pretending not to stare at the guy who'd been turning heads since he walked in, broad shoulders straining against a faded navy tee, jaw set like he was facing down a court-martial. Christian Hale, that's me, 28 and scraping by as a freelance graphic designer in San Diego, the kind of life where deadlines blurred into sunsets over the bay. I'd come here to escape my own bullshit, a cheating ex, a lease I couldn't afford, the nagging itch that I was just drifting through other people's stories. But then Roger exploded into the room like a grenade with the pin half pulled, and suddenly, my night had a plot twist. He caught my eye in the mirror behind the bottles, his gaze sharp as a bayonet, green flecked with gold like Pacific kelp under sunlight. For a beat, the bar faded, the rain, the stale smoke, the bartender's indifferent wipe down. It was just him, unraveling. "You ever feel like the uniform's choking the life out of you?" he asked the empty air, but his words landed square on me. I slid off my stool, heart kicking like a recruit on day 1, and crossed the wet floor. Every damn day, I lied, because what else do you say to a stranger who's one bad decision from the edge? We talked, or rather, he vented, and I listened, the way you do when someone's fire threatens to consume the oxygen around you. Roger Whittaker, Lieutenant, U.S. Navy, 29, stationed at Coronado with SEAL Team 3. Built like he could bench press a Humvee, with a southern drawl that snuck in when the whiskey loosened his tongue. "Atlanta roots," he said, "where football fields and family expectations were the real battlegrounds. The papers, a witch hunt. Some asshole ensign had caught wind of Roger's late-night hookups in Hillcrest, the neighborhood pulsing with rainbow flags and unspoken freedoms. Whispers turned to reports, reports to investigations, and now the brass was circling, ready to boot him under the guise of unit cohesion. DADT was history, sure, but old habits died hard in the ranks, especially when your CO was a Bible-thumping relic from the Reagan era. By last call, we'd polished off a bottle between us, the rain easing to a drizzle that mirrored the tears he wouldn't let fall. "I love the water," he confessed, staring into his empty glass. "The way it doesn't judge, just carries you under or lifts you up. But this," he jabbed the papers, "this sinks you. I don't know what possessed me, maybe the beer, maybe the way his hand brushed mine when he passed the bottle. But I said, what if it didn't have to? What if you weren't alone in this fight?" He laughed, bitter and broken, like I'd suggested storming the Pentagon with water pistols. But I wasn't joking. I'd read the regs, buried in my freelance gigs for activist mags. A spouse could vouch, provide stability, shut down the deviant lifestyle narrative. Fake it till you make it, America's favorite con. "Marry me," I blurted, the words tasting like madness and cheap bourbon. His head snapped up, eyes wide, and for the first time that night, he really saw me, not the barfly, but the fool with a heart too big for his chest. The next morning, sunlight sliced through my shitty apartment blinds like a hangover's revenge, and Roger was still there, sprawled on my futon in boxers that hugged his thighs like they were made for sin. We'd stumbled back here, talked till dawn, and somewhere in the haze, the insane idea solidified. A green card marriage. He called it, no, a shield. I'd play the devoted husband, show up to inquiries with rings and tax returns, prove he was the all-American family man the Navy craved. In return, he'd cover my rent for 6 months, long enough to land steady work. Transactional. Clean. Except when he woke, stretching with a yawn that revealed the tattoo snaking up his ribs, a compass rose, etched in black ink, pointing nowhere and everywhere. I felt the first crack in the facade. His smile, sleepy and genuine, hit like a rogue wave. We dove in headfirst, because that's what sailors do. City Hall on a Tuesday, the clerk barely glancing up as we signed the papers. Me in a thrift store suit that pinched at the shoulders, him in civvies that couldn't hide the warrior beneath. "You two make a cute couple," she muttered, stamping the certificate like it was just another receipt. Outside, under the palm trees swaying in the coastal breeze, Roger pulled me into a hug that lingered too long, his stubble grazing my cheek. "Thanks, Chris," he whispered, breath hot against my ear. "You're saving my ass." I nodded, ignoring the flutter in my gut. The way his scent, salt and sandalwood, clung like a promise. The first weeks were a crash course in domestic deception. We moved him into my one-bedroom walk-up, his sea bag dumped in the corner amid my sketch pads and empty takeout boxes. Mornings, he'd bolt protein shakes while I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, our routines slotting together like puzzle pieces we hadn't known were missing. Evenings, we'd rehearse, hand-holding in public, stories of our whirlwind romance polished to a sheen. "Met at a Padres game," he'd say, winking. "You spilled nachos on my lap, romantic as hell." I'd laugh, but inside, the lines blurred. Watching him fold his uniforms with precision, the muscles in his forearms flexing, I caught myself staring, wondering what it would be like if this weren't a lie. The Navy's inquiry loomed like a squall line on the horizon. Interviews, psych evals, the works. Roger's CO. Commander Hale, no relation. Thank God. Scheduled the first sit-down for a Friday, and we prepped like it was BUD/S training. I dug out my best button-down, the one that made me look less like a starving artist and more like husband material. "You got this," I told him in the mirror, adjusting his tie navy blue, naturally. He turned, hands on my hips, steadying us both. "We got this." Our eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the air thickened, charged like the moment before a storm breaks. Then he leaned in, lips brushing my temple in what was meant to be a platonic peck. But it lingered, soft and searching, and I froze, pulse thundering. That night, after the meeting, where I charmed the pants off the panel with tales of our commitment, we celebrated with tacos from the truck on Fifth Avenue, grease dripping down our chins as we laughed under the neon glow. Back home, buzzed on Dos Equis and adrenaline, Roger collapsed onto the couch, pulling me down with him. "You're a natural liar," he teased, arms slung over my shoulders. "Oscar-worthy." I shifted, our thighs pressing together, heat blooming where skin met denim. "Only for you," I murmured, and damn if it wasn't the truth slipping out. His fingers traced lazy circles on my arm. Innocent enough, but the room felt smaller, the space between us electric. When he finally dozed off, head heavy on my chest, I lay awake, heart a traitor pounding out a rhythm that screamed, "This is more." This is real. But reality has a way of crashing the party. 2 weeks in, Roger's ex, some ghost from Norfolk named Jake, crawled out of the woodwork. A text at 2 a.m. Heard you're playing house. Careful. Sweetheart, he breaks hearts like he breaks necks. I deleted it, but the seed lodged, festering. Who was I to Roger? Really? Prop? A port in the storm? The next deployment notice hit like a depth charge. 6 months in the Gulf. Counter-piracy ops. He broke the news over pancakes, flipping them with forced cheer. You'll hold down the fort, right, hubby? His grin didn't reach his eyes. I forced a nod, throat tight. Always, as he packed, the apartment echoed with the ghosts of what-ifs. That compass tattoo, inked after his first op, a reminder to find true north. I traced it once, fingers ghosting over the lines, and he shivered, pulling away with a joke. But in the quiet hours, when the city hummed beyond the windows, I'd catch him watching me, soft, unguarded, and wonder if he felt it too. The pull. The peril. The morning he shipped out, dawn painted the bay in pinks and golds, gulls wheeling like spotters overhead. At the pier, amid the brass and families clutching Kleenex, he slipped the ring back on my finger, simple gold band, engraved with anchors away. For the show, he said, but his voice cracked. I gripped his hand, the crowd blurring. Come back safe, Lieutenant. He saluted, sharp and military, then yanked me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs. That's an order, Mr. Whitaker. And then he was gone, boarding the tender, a speck against the vast blue. Alone in the car, radio crackling with some country ballad about lost loves, I let the tears come. Not for the lie we'd built, but for the truth clawing its way free. I'd pretended to be his husband to save his career. But in those stolen months, I'd handed over something irreplaceable. My heart, wrapped in fool's gold, sinking into depths I couldn't chart. Letters came sporadic at first, scrawled on aerogram paper that smelled of diesel and distant salt. Roger's handwriting blocky, efficient, like orders from the bridge. Days blur into watches. Chris, miss your shitty coffee. Hold the line. I'd read them at my drafting table, surrounded by mock-ups for queer rights posters, the irony not lost. Our marriage was holding up the facade back home. I forwarded bills in both names, posted curated pics on a dummy Insta, us at Balboa Park, arms linked under jacaranda blooms. The Navy bought it hook, line, and sinker. The inquiry fizzled, whispers dying like spent tracers. But the silence between posts gnawed. I'd pace the apartment, barefoot on the cool tile, staring at the compass sketch I'd doodled absent-mindedly. Roger's tattoo, stylized into a heart's erratic beat. Friends noticed the change. My roommate from art school, Mia, cornered me over IPAs at Stone Brewery. You're glowing. Hail. Spill. Who's the guy? I deflected with a laugh, but she saw through it, eyes narrowing. The ring? Fake as your excuses. I confessed bits, the deal, the deployment, omitting the ache that bloomed nightly, dreams of his mouth on mine, waking sweat-slick and wanting. San Diego kept spinning, indifferent, tourists clogging the gas lamp, seals on leave prowling Pacific Beach like wolves in sheep's clothing. I threw myself into work, landing a gig illustrating a graphic novel about forbidden loves in wartime, ironic therapy. Sketches of shadowed figures in foxholes, hands brushing in the dark, mirrored the ache I couldn't name. One night, Buzzed on Malbec. I texted him, apartment's too quiet. Drew your compass today. North is wherever you are. Send. Regret. No reply for days. Then, careful. Sailor. Might take that literally. My pulse raced, fingers hovering over keys, but I deleted the follow-up. Boundaries. Chris. This was business. Betrayal slithered in on a humid July afternoon, the kind where the air clings like regret. I was at the post office, mailing a care package, jerky, those Godawful peanut M&Ms he craved, a dog-eared copy of The Great Gatsby with margins full of my snarky notes, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hey, it's Jake. We need to talk about Roger. My stomach dropped like a bad parachute. I met him at a coffee joint in La Jolla, cliffs dropping to the sea like the edge of reason. Jake was all sharp angles and sharper eyes, ex-Marine, buzz cut fading to stubble, tattoos peeking from his tank top like accusations. He used you, Jake said flatly, stirring his black coffee without drinking. I know the play. Did it myself once. Back in the day, faked a fiancé to dodge the witch hunt. Roger's good at that. Survival mode. I leaned back, arms crossed, the ring suddenly heavy as lead. What's your angle? He slid a photo across the table. Roger and him, tangled in sheets somewhere tropical, timestamped last year. He didn't tell you? We're on again. Off deployment. Thinks I'm waiting stateside. The world tilted. The crash of waves outside mocking my naivety. Betrayal? Not quite, more like the brutal clarity of being the side plot in someone else's epic. I drove home in a daze, windows down to let the wind whip away the sting. Jake's words looped. He's good at that. But was he? The letters, the touches, the way he'd murmur my name in sleep like a prayer? Or was I the fool, projecting romance onto a contract? That night, I cracked open the Gatsby, Fitzgerald's green light winking from the page, so we beat on boats against the current. Fitting. I wrote back, pen digging into paper, read the book. Think of us as Nick and Gatsby, beautiful lies, all of it. Stay safe out there. Sealed it, mailed it, and crashed. Dreams fractured by sirens and salt. August brought heat waves that turned the bay to steam, and with them, the first real crack in Roger's armor. A call at dark 30, his voice crackling over sat phone static. Chris? Fuck. Man. It's bad. Gunfire echoed faintly, then cut to muffled shouts. My heart seized. Insertion gone sideways, pirates with RPGs. Lost 2 guys. He was breathing hard, the elite operator stripped to raw edges. Just needed to hear you. Ground me. I gripped the phone like a lifeline, words tumbling. Breathe, Roger. You're the best damn swimmer I know. Come home to your shitty husband. A pause, then a laugh, wet, relieved. Yeah. Love you for that. The line died, but those words hung. A grenade pin pulled. The package returned weeks later, unopened, my note tucked inside like a scarlet letter. Read it, scrawled in his chicken scratch. You're wrong. We're not lies. I devoured the book that night. Margins now doubled with his replies. This is us, chasing lights we can't touch. By the end, tears blurred the pages, and I knew Jake was the ghost, but the haunt was mine. I loved him. Not the role, the man, the one who folded my laundry without asking, who kissed my temple and stayed. Fall crept in with Santa Annis rattling the windows, wildfires smudging the horizon red as warnings. Roger's team rotated stateside for R&R, and the airport reunion was scripted perfection. Me in his arms, kissing his cheek for the cameras. Brass loved the optics. Whispering, "Missed you for real." He looked gaunt, eyes shadowed by ops that left invisible scars, but his grip was iron. "Missed my coffee," he quipped, but his thumb stroked my wrist, lingering. We drove to my spot, Sunset Cliffs, where the ocean chewed the earth like hunger. Parked the truck, cracked beers from a cooler, watched the sun bleed into the Pacific. "Jake reached out," I said finally, testing waters. His jaw tightened, beer halfway to lips. Bullshit. Ancient history. Lie or truth? His eyes flicked to mine. Stormy. "It was convenience, Chris. Before you. Before this." He gestured between us, vague as fog. I pressed, and now, silence stretched, broken only by waves. Then, soft. "Now, I'm not sure where north is." That night, back in the apartment, tension coiled like a spring. We showered off the travel grime, separate, always separate, emerged in towels, steam curling like unspoken wants. He dropped onto the bed, towel low on hips, tattoo gleaming under the lamp. I sat beside him, heart hammering. "Tell me about the op," I said, to fill the void. He did, haltingly, the ambush, the blood in the water, the brother he couldn't save. When his voice broke, I pulled him close, no pretense, just arms around shaking shoulders. "You're home," I whispered. He buried his face in my neck, breath ragged. "With you." The kiss happened slow, inevitable as tide. His lips tentative on mine, tasting of salt and fear, then deepening as dams broke. Hands roamed, mine in his damp hair, his fisting my shirt, world narrowing to heat and heartbeat. We tumbled back, towels shed like old skins, bodies aligning in a frenzy of need. He was all muscle and mercy, mapping me with mouth and fingers, drawing gasps I couldn't stifle. "Chris," he groaned, like a confession, and I shattered under him, whispering his name like absolution. After, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, he traced my collarbone. "This changes things," I nodded, chest tight with joy and terror. "For better," his smile, rare and real, lit the dark. "Yeah. For us." But dawn brought the call. Extended deployment. Intel hot, brass demanding more. He dressed in silence, uniform a barrier reforming. At the door, he cupped my face. "Wait for me." I nodded, throat closing. "Always, husband." The word hung, no longer fake. As the door clicked shut, I sank to the floor, the compass on my skin burning, a north he might never find. Winter clamped down on San Diego like a bad op, rare chills seeping through cracks, holidays lit with false cheer. Roger's absence echoed louder now, the bed half empty, his sea bag a sentinel in the corner. I filled days with commissions, murals for pride events, each stroke a sublimation of longing. Mia dragged me to parties, her arm linked through mine at a queer trivia night in North Park. "Live a little. Hail," she teased, but my laughs rang hollow, eyes scanning crowds for a ghost in greens. Letters resumed, thicker now, laced with poetry he swore came from Gatsby's ghost. "Your sketches ground me more than any chart. Draw me home." I did portraits of him against sunsets, fierce and tender, mailing them folded into his M&Ms. Replies, Eyes like that? I follow you into hell. Heat flushed my cheeks reading them in coffee shops, strangers oblivious to the fire building across oceans. Betrayal's second strike landed via email. Anonymous sender with a Hillcrest IP. Ask your hubby about Ensign Torres. Curiosity clawed. I searched, heart sinking. A forum thread, buried in military Reddit shadows, whispers of Roger's mentorship with a young ensign. Late nights in the O Club, touches lingering too long. Classic Whitaker, one post sneered. Collects boys like commendations. Jake's photo had been a warning shot. This was shrapnel. I confronted the mirror first, ring twisting on my finger. Was I just the latest? The convenient shore leave? Doubt festered, turning letters to litmus tests, every miss you scrutinized for subtext. When his next call came, mid-January gale rattling windows, I held back. Heard about Torres, I said, voice steady as rebar. Static hissed. Then, Chris, it's not. What it looks like? Save it. He exhaled, ragged. He's a kid, lost after his first swim qual. I was helping. Swear it. Pause. You believe me? I wanted to, God. I did, but the wound wept. Prove it when you're home. The line went dead. Storm claiming the signal, leaving me adrift. That week, I ghosted Mia's invites, holed up sketching tempests, waves devouring ships, lovers clinging to masts. Art as exorcism, purging the poison. But poison spreads. A bar fight in February. Some jarhead mouthing off about fairy husbands. My fist connecting before sense caught up. Bruised knuckles. A night in holding woke to Mia's bail and a lecture. This isn't you, Chris. Rogers got you twisted. She was right. The lie had metastasized. Love and suspicion entwined like lovers in a knife fight. Spring thawed the bay. Cherry blossoms dusting the Embarcadero like fleeting hopes. Rogers' team surfaced for a brief rotation. 2 weeks. Brass granted mercy. Airport again. But this time no cameras. Just me. Sign trembling in hands. LT. Whitaker. My north. His face lit when he saw it. Striding through the crush. Sweeping me off my feet in a spin that drew whistles. Cheesy bastard, he murmured, kissing me proper. Deep. Devouring. Homecoming fire. We burned those days like contraband smokes. Mornings tangled in sunlight. His mouth mapping freckles I'd hidden from mirrors. Afternoons hiking Torrey pines. Hands clasped as trails wound through eucalyptus haze. Evenings on the balcony. His head in my lap. Fingers combing his sun-bleached hair while he spilled ops scrubbed for classification. Close calls. Brotherly bonds forged in fire. Torres, I asked one night. Post-love haze. Body slick and sated. He propped on elbow. I solemn. Mentor. Nothing more. You're it, Chris. The anchor. I searched his face. Found truth in the green-gold depths. And pulled him down. Sealing it with salt and sighs. But paradise has eviction notices. Midway through. His CO summoned. Urgent brief. Classified as fuck. Roger returned late. Face ashen. Uniform rumpled. Iran proxy shit, he said. Evading. Escalating. Pressed. But walls rose. Seal code. Lips sealed tighter than vaults. That night, lovemaking turned frantic. His hands gripping like he'd drown without. Don't let go, he gasped. And I didn't. Whispering vows into his skin. Forever, no matter the tide. The morning he left, early, pre-dawn black. I woke to empty sheets. Panic clawing. Note on the pillow, couldn't wake you. Love's a battlefield, Springsteen. Wait for me. Love. First time inked. Black on white. Clutched it. Tears hot. As his truck faded into fog. Wait. I'd wait eternities. But the heart has limits. And mine frayed at edges. Summer scorched in. Deployments stretching to 8 months. Calms down to drips. Whispers from his squad. Via a mutual buddy at the base gym. Painted grim. IEDs in the straits. Casualties mounting. I volunteered at the USO. Pouring coffee for weary spouses. Hearing echoes of my fears in their stories. One widow, eyes hollow, gripped my hand. They come back changed. Or not at all. Her words haunted. Fueling nightmares where Roger's compass spun wild. Pointing to voids. Then, the call, not his, but the Navy's. Chaplain's voice. Oil-smooth regret. Injured. Stable. Walter Reed. World ended in that instant, airport to D.C. Red ice blurring into one endless night. Mia shoving a credit card into my palm. Go get your man. I did. Landing in D.C.'s muggy dawn. Cab racing to Bethesda like fate's own chariot. The room was sterile white. Beeps a mechanical lullaby. Roger. Swathed in bandages. Face half hidden by gauze. Shrapnel from a hello downing. Femur shattered. Burns licking his side. Awake. Groggy on morphine. Eyes finding mine through haze. Chris. Croak of disbelief. I sank beside him. Hand enveloping his foretethered one. Your husband. As ordered. He wept then, silent. Shoulders shaking. And I held him. The lie transcended. Love bare as bone. Recovery was a gauntlet. PT sessions where he'd grit through agony. Me feeding him jello like a nurse in a bad rom-com. Nights in the Ronald McDonald knockoff quarters. His nightmares pulling screams that echoed my own. Lost my north, he'd mutter, waking sweat-drenched. I traced the tattoo, faded now under scars. Right here, I'd say, pressing his palm to my chest. Slowly, he mended, crutches traded for cane. Cane for limp, brass hovering. Discharge looming not from rumors, but wreckage. Betrayal's final twist came in discharge papers. Stamped honorable, medical. Career salvaged from scandal, only to be felled by war's whim. He stared at them in our borrowed apartment off base. Rain sheeting windows like DC's apology. All for nothing, he said, voice hollow. I knelt before him, no ring this time, just truth. Not nothing. Us, his eyes, pained but piercing, searched mine. Was it ever real? I cupped his face, thumb brushing scar. Real as this. Fall in DC dragged autumn leaves through streets like regrets swept under rugs. Roger's limp a constant companion. Cane tapping rhythms of what-ifs. We relocated to a shoebox in Georgetown. My freelance gigs going remote to shadow his rehab. Hydrotherapy in pools that mocked his seal glory. Psych sessions peeling layers of PTSD like onion skins. Nightmares evolved, less gunfire. More ghosts of Torres. Jake. The ensign he'd mentored too closely in brass eyes. They think I prayed. He confessed one session. Voice muffled by the therapist's nod. Unit cohesion my ass, it's fear. I absorbed it all. Buffer and bolster. Sketching therapy, him as Odysseus. Scarred but sailing. Me as steadfast Penelope. Weaving illusions into truths. But strain showed, arguments flaring over nothing, like the time I snapped at his refusal to job hunt. You're more than the uniform, he hurled the cane, splintering a chair leg. That's easy for you, your world's colors and canvases. Mine's gray now, Chris. Gray and broken. Door slam. Hours out in the drizzle. Returning soaked and sorry. Collapsing into my arms with "don't leave" whispered like a wound. Thanksgiving loomed. A Norman Rockwell lie we couldn't sell. His folks wired invites from Atlanta, Bible Belt bastion, where son meant straight arrow savior. They don't know, he said, carving turkey in our kitchenette, knife flashing. About any of it. I played it sides, heart heavy. Tell them. We're family. He laughed. Sharp. Family? We're a fraud. Still playing house. The ring glinted accusatory. We'd kept them on. Habit or hope. That night, post-meal haze of wine and whist, we made slow love by firelight. Candles flickering shadows on scars. His body reclaiming confidence. Mine yielding in waves of forgiveness. Christmas brought Jake. Uninvited specter materializing at our door with a bottle of bourbon and eyes like daggers. Heard about the leg. Thought I'd check in. Roger stiffened. Cane forgotten in the hall. I hovered. Polite poison. We're good. Thanks. But Jake lingered. Tales of old ops loosening tongues. Bourbon flowing till truth sloshed. You were always the soft one. Wit. Jake slurred. Arms slung over Roger's shoulder. Hiding behind props. Roger's face darkened. Shoving him off. Get out. Door shut. But damage done. Jake's parting shot. He's using you, artist boy. Same as me. The fight erupted post-ejection. Me hurling accusations. How many mentors? How many lies? Him roaring back. You think this is easy? Losing everything for a ghost marriage. Cane clattered. Fists clenched. But we didn't touch words weapons enough. He stormed to the bedroom. Door barricade. I curled on the couch. Sobs muffled in pillows. The compass tattoo I'd inked on my own wrist burning like brand. Dawn found us fractured. Coffee cold between us. I love you, he said. Voice raw. But maybe love's not enough. My heart fractured further. It has to be. New Year ticked in with resolve. Couples counseling. Via mandated but ours by choice. Sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the Potomac. Therapist a no-nonsense dyke with silver buzzcut. Pretend marriages rarely stay pretend, she said, eyeing our rings. We unpacked. His guilt over the career crater. My fear of being footnote. Betrayal's a cycle, she noted. Break it or be broken. Homework. Date nights. No uniforms or canvases. Just us. We tried picnics on the mall. Monuments dwarfing our dramas. Jazz dives in U Street. His hand in mine under tables. Thumb circling wedding band like talisman. Spring bloomed fragile. Cherry trees confetti ing sidewalks. Roger's limp faded to swagger. Job offers trickling private security. Consulting for vet nonprofits. I landed a book deal. Illustrations for a memoir on queer vets. Roger's stories woven anonymous into pages. Pride in DC pulsed electric. Rainbow rivers down Pennsylvania Avenue. Him marching beside me. Cane a scepter not crutch. Out and proud. He grinned. Kissing me fierce amid cheers. That night, hotel room overlooking fireworks. We celebrated bodies a battlefield of bliss. Scars badges not burdens. Marry me, he gasped post-climax. Earnest as dawn. For real this time, tears mixed with sweat. Yes, but climax crests to crash. June's heat wave smothered. And with it, the letter, Navy Review Board. Sniffing old scandals revived by Jake's spiteful leaks. Forums buzzing again. Torres testifying in shadows. Fraternization. The summons read, threatening Roger's honorable discharge to other than benefits slashed. He crumpled it in fists. Face thunder. That fucker. Me. Rage boiling. Will fight. Lawyers consulted. Affidavits drafted. Me as witness. Husband in truth now. The hearing was a coliseum of starched collars and steely glares. DC humidity pressing like judgment. Roger testified. Voice steady. My service was honorable. My marriage real. Me beside him. Hand under table squeezing. But Jake took the stand. Venomous. He preyed on me. On Torres. On this pretty prop. Gasps rippled. Roger's grip whitened my knuckles. Cross-exam shredded Jake. Texts exposing his manipulations. Torres recanting under oath. Mentorship. Nothing more. Lies unraveled like cheap rope. Board recessed. Days stretching to agony. We waited in limbo. Walks along Rock Creek. His head on my shoulder under willows. If I lose this, he murmured. What's left? I turned, framing his face. Us. North. Verdict dropped mid-July. Upheld honorable. Reprimand for Jake. Elation crashed like waves. Hugs in the hall. Tears unchecked. Lawyers clapping backs. Summer's end packed boxes. DC2 haunted. San Diego calling home. Drive west. Windows down. Springsteen blasting Thunder Road our anthem. We made it, he said. Hand on my thigh. I nodded. Wind whipping hair. Together, yet doubt's embers smoldered. In motels en route, lovemaking turned tender, almost elegiac. His fingers tracing my ink, voice husky, you're my miracle, but eyes held shadows, war's internal raging. Arrival in SD, apartment reclaimed, bay glittering welcome. First night, balcony beers, he dropped the bomb casual as sunset. Got an offer, contractor, overseas. 6 months, high pay, my beer soured. Now, he shrugged, evasive. Gotta reclaim something, heart plummeted. Reclaim or run, argument ignited, me accusing escape, him defending purpose. This life's hand-me-downs, Chris. I need to feel whole. Cane snapped in fury, shards like are shattering. Door slam redux. I wandered beaches till stars wheeled, waves whispering stay, stay. Dawn. He found me on sand, eyes red-rimmed. Don't go, arms enveloped, salt mingling. Then come with me, words hung, impossible. I can't. This is home, silence sealed it, love's fault line, quaking. August sun baked the coast golden, but our home chilled to frost. Roger prepped for departure, gear oiled, duffel zipped, each click a countdown. We tiptoed around the rift, apologies airbrushed over cracks. Breakfasts shared in silence, touches lingering like farewells. It's not forever, he'd say, cupping my cheek. I'd nod, throat barbed, sketching his silhouette against horizons, portraits capturing the man slipping away. Friends rallied, Mia hosting send-offs, bonfires on Moonlight Beach where flames danced like unspoken griefs. Fight for it, she pulled me aside, smoke stinging eyes. Or lose him to ghosts. I confronted him post-party, embers dying to ash. Stay. Build here with me. His face crumpled, compass tattoo stark in firelight. I love you, Chris. But the sea's in my blood. Can't outrun it. Kiss then. desperate, tasting of salt and sorrow, bodies yielding one last storm, dawn finding us entwined, vows whispered into hollows. Come back. Always. He shipped out Labor Day, airport a déjà vu dagger. Me clutching a new sketchbook, pages blank for his return. North's waiting, I said. Ring glinting dual now, mine etched true north. He saluted, grin crooked. Orders acknowledged. Gone again. But this time, strings severed clean? No. Texts trickled. First op smooth. Miss your sketches. I replied with drawings digitized, him as captain of fates, me his steadfast shore. Autumn waned. My book launched to acclaim. Queer vet tales. Roger's essence woven subtle. Signings in Hillcrest. Crowds lauding authenticity. Mia beamed. Your happy ending? I forced smile. Chapter 1. Nights alone amplified. Bed vast. Dreams of green gold eyes. Waking to pillows damp. Therapy solo now. Unpacking codependence. Love isn't possession. The doc said. This compass, not chain. I inked more. Murals for the Pride Center. Colors defiant. November's chill bit. Wildfires licking east again. Then, blackout, 2 weeks no word. News cycling Gulf tensions. Panic clawed. I paced piers, scanning horizons for ghosts. Call came midnight. His voice, frayed. Ambush. Grazed. But walking. Relief flooded. Then fury. Walking away from us? Pause heavy. Chris. Thinking. Heart iced. About. Static whispered. If I'm poison. Jake was right. I break things. Betrayal's echo. Self-inflicted. You're not. We're not. But doubt seated. His silences. The pull of peril over peace. Come home, I begged. Decide here. Affirmative. Clipped. 2 weeks. Waiting shredded. Canvases slashed in rage. Then mended with care, art as atonement. Mia crashed couches. Forcing feeds. He's scared. Hail. War widows the soul. Her words bomb. But wounds wept. Reunion at LAX. Pre-dawn hush. He emerged limping faint. Seabag slung. Eyes haunted hollows. Hug crushed breath. His whisper. Needed you. Cab ride silent. Hands laced. City awakening indifferent. Home. Door shut. We unraveled. Clothes shed like shells. Bodies colliding in catharsis. Scars traced. New grays bandaged tender. Moans mingled with murmurs. Stay. Please. Dawn coffee. Balcony perch. Bay mist shrouded. I quit, he said. Steam curling. Contractors done. Found north. My mug trembled. Where? Green gold locked. Here. With you. Elation surged. But caution tempered. Real? No ghosts. He knelt. Echo of our mad proposal. But earnest. Marry me again. Vows. Vegas. Whatever. Build a life house by the water. Maybe kids if we dare. Or just us against the world. Tears blurred him. Beautiful broken hole. Yes. God. Yes. Humanity's arc bent gentle then. Winter wedding. Small Mia officiating in a chapel off 5th. Rainbow stole fluttering. Vows traded under arches. I take you, scars and all. North eternal. Rings renewed. Simple platinum. Engraved us. Reception beachside. Bonfire crackling. Friends toasting to pretenses perished. Spring birthed plans. Roger's nonprofit gig. counseling vets on shores unseen. My studio expanding, murals mapping queer cartographies. House hunt yielded craftsmen in ocean beach, creaky porch, view of swells crashing like applause. Mornings, coffee shared, his head on my shoulder. Evenings, sketches side by side, his rough lines meeting my flourishes. Yet humanism whispers no tales tidy, PTSD flickered, anniversaries of ops pulling shadows. One night, storm raging, he bolted awake screaming Torres's name, not lover's lust, but leader's loss. I held him through thunder, rocking, "You're safe." "We're safe, Dawn." He traced my wrist ink. "You saved me first." I smiled, soft. We saved each other. Years unspooled. Pride floats we led. Hands high. Adoptions considered. Then a rescue pup named Compass. Bounding chaos. Roger's limp, mere quirk. Kane retired to mantle relic. My art, galleries in LA. Stories of us inspiring lines. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Jake's silence a mercy. Scandal's dust. One dusk. Cliffs where we'd unraveled. Now rebuilt. Sunset painting us gold. His arm around waist. "Pretended once," he murmured. Lips grazing temple. "Lost my heart." I turned, kissing deep. Found mine. Waves applauded. Compass steady, north us. Always. In America's vast tapestry, flawed, fierce we wove our thread, two men, mended by storms, anchored in love's uncharted blue. Not fairy tale, but human hymn, raw, resilient, real.